Welcome, guys, to our very first trial run, test run of One versus One. I am Hellraiser, Jonathan Boyd, and kind of give you a little introduction about what we're going to be doing here. So, One versus One is basically a show that's about, One versus One interviews. I'll be interviewing people around the gaming world. Could be a community leader, it could be an esports organization, a developer. It could be something, anything that has to do with the gaming world. Today we're going to have a guest from Vex Gaming to get us started. So I'm introducing today Halex.
What's going on, people? I am the competitive lead in Vex Gaming. I oversee everything competitive, and we can go into more about that later. But back to you, Hal.
Right on, Halex. So we'll get right into it, and these are interviews. So we're just going to be asking personal questions, getting to know, Halex a little bit more, and kind of seeing what he does. So give us a little bit of background on yourself, Halex. How you got into gaming? What got you
Sure.
started?
I mean, I've been a gamer since I was 3 years old. I actually learned how to read by playing The Legend of Zelda on the original NES. Ever since then, that's all I've pretty much done. I've just been into gaming ever since. I've most recently got more involved with the competitive side of things and really want to push Vex Gaming into a point where it's actually viable for us to sustain competitive players on a level where they're getting paid to play. That's really my goal, and that's not only going to be good for them, it's going to be good for Vex Gaming as a whole to grow as an organization. But that's for another topic ultimately. But I mean, that I got into Vex as well, virtually the same way, just playing games casually. And actually, the funny part of it is I've used Vex in front of my name prior to joining Vex, so it was like a perfect fit for me.
Um, so what was the very first game that you played?
The very, very first game was The Legend of Zelda, the original Legend of Zelda on the NES.
And what would you say that your favorite game over time was?
Oh, gosh, that's such a horrible question. Yeah, I'm a big fan of a lot of different genres, but RPG has always really intrigued me, and most recently, obviously, with the big push with Smite and League of Legends and everything, MOBAs have really shown in the spotlight for me. But my favorite game has to be Contra on the NES.
Contra, going old school. I like it.
Gotta go old school.
Can you
I'll play some
remember?
Contra every day.
Can you remember the code for Contra?
Up, up, down, down, left, right, A, B, select, start. No,
Boom.
double A, B, sorry.
Boom, done. Awesome. All right.
Select starts for two players, though. Just start if you want to do one.
And so Legend of Zelda was the start onto your gaming, and what did you move on to from Legend of Zelda?
I mean, honestly, things were kind of tight when I was growing up, so I didn't get every single system that came out. But I gradually, moved out of the NES, went into the Super NES, of course. Had to play Mario. I played Mario 24/7. And when GoldenEye came out, I was just like the pinnacle for me of gaming at that point, because I'd bring all my friends over and just destroy them in that game. It was so amazing.
I think a lot of people our age have really fond memories of GoldenEye.
GoldenEye 007, man. I would loved it when they remade it, but the fact that they put it out on the Wii kind of threw me off ever so slightly.
They did actually end up putting it on Xbox 360, but
I know. At that point, I didn't have an Xbox. I was too into PC gaming anyway, so I don't actually own a console at the moment because all I do is spend my time on this system, on the computer.
Right on.
But yeah,
So, how about your education? I know that you did do some art stuff. You want to talk about that?
Yep. I have background in graphic design through the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, online. Online courses are far more difficult, so anybody who is interested in doing online courses, I really want you to gauge your ability to time manage. If you can't time manage yourself, quite frankly, you're not going to make it through that. I myself did not complete it, unfortunately, not due to time restrictions or my own time management. That was ultimately due to the whole crashing of our credit system. And to this day, it's still pretty messed up, so I haven't even tried to complete it. I really should, but Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Right on. All right. So, how did you start working with Vex Gaming? How did you start ended up working with us?
I spent quite a few months as a community member, kind of just messing around with people, getting to know people, getting to know you yourself as the CEO of Vex, and one thing led to another. It came up that we were looking for additional people to run things, and I just threw my name into the bucket to see what would happen. And lo and behold, you chose me.
All right. And so, what was your very first officer position for
My
Vex?
very first officer position was as a division leader for Firefall, which was fun. It was. Firefall is an amazing game. It has a lot of potential. I just want to see it come into fruition because currently, in its current state, it's not going very far. But that was my very first position, other than a community member, was to run the entire division of Firefall, which, quite honestly, was fairly small back in the day and has grown tremendously over time.
Yep, it has. It definitely has, and I think that was a lot to do with your kind of networking in the beginning. So,
Indeed, indeed.
as the competitive manager, what are some of the things that you do for Vex?
I oversee every competitive division in Vex. What I'm going to do in the coming months, hopefully, is get us again to that point where everybody is on the competitive side. One capable, stream down the teams to proper sizes. Because currently, just for instance, in Smite, we have a possible 4 teams that are trying to form. Of that pool of 4 people, I'm probably going to be maybe narrowing it down to 1 or 2 different teams, an A team or a B team, to kind of alleviate a little bit of stress because, I mean, that's just too much, quite frankly. And those other teams can still play. I have no issue with that, and they can still use the Vex name. It's just we're going to focus on a couple of different teams rather than focusing on 4 or 5 or 6 in one game. So, I oversee that. I'm going to be working on getting sponsorships. I'm going to be working on virtually every aspect of the competitive side, running tournaments as well. Speaking of which, we have a tournament coming up for Smite. It is the Vex Weekly, and that will be airing on the 27th at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's this month, of course. And that's going to be a weekly tournament that we're going to run. It's Wednesday nights every night at 6 p.m. Look forward to that. Hopefully we can get some decent teams rolling in. Currently the prize pool is not solidified. I am working on that as well. I still have over a week to get that solidified, and hopefully I can get some decent things going for what somebody can win.
All right, you stole a couple of my next questions up there, so
I have to. That's what I do.
kind of move on to the next one. So you've talked a little bit about it. So what games are you currently invested in? What's the game that you play the most right now?
The game I play the most is Smite, hands down. It's really caught my attention. I was a fan of League back in the day. I'm currently, unfortunately, not a huge fan of League because I don't enjoy isometric top-down view games anymore. It's just the skill requirement isn't there, in my opinion. It's more of a casual type experience. When anybody can come into the game and do well with slight experience in games, that kind of bugs me. When there's that learning curve and skill shots, and there are skill shots in League, don't get me wrong, but it's just not to the point that, say, Smite is, and that's why I've spent most of my time in Smite. I will be jumping around between games, though. I need to learn all of them in and out and be able to gauge individual players as to how well they're doing within said game.
Right on. Makes a lot of sense. um, so what's probably your most favorite thing about Smite?
Oh man, so much. The idea behind it being a third-person MOBA is really what drew me to it because third-person view is amazing in my opinion. I used to play EverQuest back in the day, and EverQuest was amazing. And I always thought to myself, wouldn't it be awesome if you could do a third-person view with your entire UI up? on this game. And when it came out with EverQuest 2, obviously it did move over to that kind of format. But the movement and fluidity in that game is kind of off. And I think that's why it didn't do as well as it should have, as well as the original EverQuest ultimately did. But third-person view, in my opinion, is the way that most games should be played, because you can, one, see your character. So you get slightly more immersed into the game, more so than a first person, because you don't see anything. All you see is what that person should see to an extent. First person isn't bad, but third person's where it's at, for me at least.
Okay, fair enough. And so you've kind of already answered this, but do you have any upcoming events planned for Vex Gaming?
Yep, so the VEX Weekly, we're also going to be running a VEX Monthly Invitational, which is going to take the top teams and points from the VEX Weeklies throughout the month, which we're starting at the end of the month for this month. So there is no invitation. It's open to everybody. But next month, it will be invite only, based on the top 8 teams for March from the VEX Weeklies. And I believe that we're working on something for Firefall as well, but I'm not going to give you any hints as to what we're doing yet, so people stay tuned, and we will get into that later.
All right. And so I think I've got one last question for you, and I think you've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but what are your personal goals for the rest of this year? What do you personally want to foresee?
Certainly. All right, so ultimately I want to take VEX to another level. Right now we have potential sponsors, we'll just put it that way, and I want to actually secure real true sponsorship within our gaming community. I want to be able to pay players to come to us, and if I want to snipe somebody from another team, I want to be able to do that too. I know with the current push and smite, it's extremely feasible for us to be able to pick out who we want to sponsor us, as long as we can place well in these upcoming tournaments, and that's my goal with that game. Firefall, I can honestly say we're very solidified in right now. We could probably get sponsorship just from what we've done in that alone. I just need to really focus on what we've done there and see what we can accomplish. And I need to really focus on our League of Legends competitive play, because currently it's kind of wishy-washy, and we're going to really nail that down. But in the next coming months, within 3 months, I want to have a source of renewable income for VEX Gaming to be able to pay the players, pay the staff, and actually run this as a business as opposed to just a community. And over the next year, I want to see us grow into what you see in teams like Complexity and Team Liquid and Solo Mid, etc.
Realistically, how long do you think that that's going to take for us to become, a team where we can pay our players? Because right now it's like, we don't really have that renewable income. So
right, I mean, right now we don't have
right off the get-go, even when we win our first tournament, or see you guys, you get the.
We're at a big disadvantage. That's for certain.
When do you
we have no contracts with our players.
Actual, is when you're looking. So maybe my question should be different. Is when we get our first big sponsors and we have some kind of sustainable income coming in, are you going to be happy then, or when you're being able to pay salaries to people?
I'll never be happy. The more money that comes in, the better. So if I can secure future sponsorships, if I can secure future ways of attaining income for us, whether it be through merchandising or anything at all, I am all for it. And with what's going on currently with Twitch, the ability for them to get players paid to play the game, with the availability of Smite to the general public right now, just like League of Legends, the availability of Firefall to people, just like League of Legends again. I think that this year is going to be huge for gaming, in an aspect that you can't even fathom right now, because we don't have a big push in the U.S. for competitive gaming currently. I do know, however, that there is going to be a television station, and I don't know precisely the date that it's going to be airing and starting, but it's going to be streaming competitive online play from consoles and from PC gaming. So you're going to see that coming out real soon, which means that people are going to be able to watch this mainstream, not just on the computer anymore. And, they can watch it at home, sitting on their couch, eating a bag of potato chips, and drinking a Coke. Plain and simple.
Yeah, well,
and that's going to be amazing for competitive play alone. And there really needs to be a huge push in the U.S. in general, though, to get competitive gaming more mainstream, just like it is over in Korea, just like it is over in the European countries as well, because they have really sustained what we're looking at doing over here and what I want to accomplish with VexX.
Good enough. So, final question, and this kind of goes into to the last question, is for your goals for this year. Is it just to get a sustainable income for VexX, or is it to get a sustainable income for individuals?
It's to actually get a sustainable income for VexX as a whole, so all staff members, and for competitive gamers to be able to pay salaries to them as well.
All right. Well, you have set yourself some really high goals there, buddy.
I'm a lofty person. It's either go big or go home, right? That's the saying. That's how I am.
All right. Well, I don't have any more questions for you. So if there's anything else you would like to say, give some shout outs or anything?
Not really right now. I just want to say that, I think it's going to be a huge year for everybody in the competitive gaming industry, and I really want to see everything succeed for everybody, not just us. So if you guys are watching this and you're looking to get into the competitive gaming side like VexX is currently, just don't give up. Keep pushing. Eventually something's going to happen, and that's just going to be the bomb diggity.
Words from the wise. Well, I thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, this was our test run of this. We wanted to see, how well the overlay worked, if we were going to run into any bumps. I think next time we'll have a nice new trailer for you and a little bit more professionalism going on with how it works out and so on and so forth. But I really do appreciate you guys coming in and joining us. This will be posted up on YouTube. And again, thank you for your guys' time. We will see you probably in 2 weeks from now. And I should have a guest from one of my favorite games. So watch for that, and thank you again.
All right. Thanks, guys. Awesome. Good deal, brah.